Okay, Al.
Now be careful, all my junk here.
Sure.
Entree. They say a man's home is his castle. This is more like his dungeon.
So you just had a birthday?
Today's my birthday.
Today's your birthday?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Al.
Yeah. Today is 95.
That's an amazing birthday.
Well, it's just another day. I got a lot of work yet to do. I got my own stuff I got to get done, you know. 3 documentaries. I got to get a DVD made. I got to line up some shoots. Okay. As we say in Russian, na zdrowie, to your health. Okay.
Since it began in 1962, the Film Society's singular force has been Al Milgrom. His film obsession and his temperament have made him a legendary figure.
Well, the point is, it was very bad judgment. It's a black mark against us. What can you do to repair it now?
He's famous for abusing people on the phone, especially critics who give lukewarm reviews.
What do I think of when I think of Al Milgrom? I think of a man of unremitting energy. I think of a man who could irritate the hell out of you because he was so driven. But I think of a man who also clearly has a certain degree of charm.
Al is this kind of mythic character, and he's someone who's devoted his entire life to creating a film scene in the Twin Cities.
In a slick world getting slicker by the day, a man with the individual texture of Al Milgrom, a man who can be personally insulted by poor attendance, such a man is a necessity. For in contrast to the trendiness offered by Hollywood, he has brought us Midwesterners true sophistication.
A cinephile is literally a guy who loves the cinema. I became addicted to cinephilia, maybe I'd say in the late 40s when the film of the Italian neo-realist movement started and Bicycle Thieves first came out. I was always interested in photography anyway, and I sort of had some literary ambitions. The whole idea of cameraman was sort of almost parallel to being a writer, camera as a pen. And so I ended up enlisting in the Air Force as a photographic officer. I had been in Germany, worked on Stars and Stripes. I came back, then I started hanging out at the U with the filmmakers, and I ended up teaching a film course in the humanities program. And the new wave in France was already burgeoning. I wanted to see these movies, so the Film Society was my sort of front as an excuse to bring in films I wanted to see.
The Film Society was sort of the ground zero place of cinematic, intellectual interaction. And anyone who went to the screenings there knew who Al Milgrom was. He's one of those few people in our town that made us a village. Hanging up his posters, going to every coffee shop, then talking to people, kvetching, going actually to churches to get the audiences that he needed.
I knew the value of publicity, and this was back before you just put it all on the internet and Facebook and they'll come running to your event. I always thought anybody with an ounce of curiosity would be a good member of the audience. We were considered kind of a renegade outfit, some ex-hippie kids. It supplied a huge need in the Twin Cities. The reason they need to bring up a certain global point of view, a cosmopolitan look, they fight the provincialism that always pervades this Midwest flyover country.
It would be normal that you'd go to a screening and there would be slides that Al would type up that would tell you what was coming to the Film Society. And invariably, these slides would be misspelled, and then crossed out, then stenciled in with blue marker. And the audience would expect these slides and love them. They would laugh, they'd applaud. It all had this sense that it was being made up in the moment. And that was part of the allure of the man and part of the allure of the Film Society.
In the 60s and 70s, the Film Society became part of a art house circuit. Oh, wow. Holy mackerel. We would share copies with the film festivals, San Francisco, Cleveland, Washington. In fact, the film festival idea took root here when we wanted to model something like Telluride in the beautiful mountains of Colorado. We'd go to Stillwater. So the film festival became known as Rivertown.
You know, I think what makes Rivertown great is it's indigenous to Minneapolis. I don't think any other city could have a film festival like Rivertown because no other city has somebody like Al.
Minneapolis, I mean, the way I see it, I might be part of my own occupational paranoia, but we're fighting a rear guard action against provinciality. They think they're the center of the universe because they've got their opera, they've got their art galleries and this and that. But if you look at Minneapolis compared with any other major cities of its size and pretensions, they've got a lot of homework to do. Anyway, that's my valedictory statement. We changed the name 20 years later to Minneapolis-St. Paul International because some people wondered which river and which town. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that we used to do. I used to make these posters, do the layouts, and then put them up at the coffee shops. Well, it was challenging for me because I had to book all the movies, write the copy, design the posters, and a lot of the publicity. And so I said at that point, there's enough work to do just running the Film Society, and I decided that's what I'm going to do until the next thing comes along.
And so how long was that?
Until now.
Al was obsessed with becoming a filmmaker in the 50s. He was always interested in shooting documentaries. But you know, he's a really good cameraman. He's got a great eye. But he got sidetracked like a lot of people do. He got sidetracked into playing these great films, bringing these directors in, learning all about this stuff. So as he becomes a filmmaker now in his 90s, that was always his sort of goal.
So, and you've been called the oldest emerging filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I called that myself, but I figure starting from about at age 90, I don't think I've got a lot of competition. They dropped me as the artistic director in the Film Society in 2012. A little bit of a disagreement with the incoming board of directors.
They all play that song.
Once I got the film monkey off my back, I was able to get back to finishing the documentaries, which I'd put on the shelf for years. That's the Harvest Parade in New Prague, which is a clip from the Czech heritage film that I'm working on. The Russian film's been sitting there for 60 years. The Dinky Town footage in 1970, that was sitting in my basement for a long time.
Build the movement. As we build a revolutionary movement, they cannot stop us. They cannot win. They can kill us, They can jail us. We will shut the Oak Street Red Barn down. We will not let it have business. We will show him what will happen here. Right on, hey!
And then, of course, I was a TA for John Berryman, which made me gravitate naturally to him as a subject. Film has now become a way to know the world, even though you have to apply a bunch of filters to get the right perspective. Some people like movies because they like acting. Some people like movies because they like documentaries. I like documentaries because I'm interested in reality instead of dramatized reality. Okay. Film is as important as being alive, and with the expanse of digital filmmaking, the huge number of new worlds that are being opened up and new perspectives, it just adds to your feeling of being human.